Did you know that imposter syndrome is more common in women, high achievers, and underrepresented minorities? And guess what? I check all the boxes. Hi there, I'm Demi. I'm a medical doctor in the UK, and I'm diving into creating videos and helping people have happier and healthier lives. This includes taking care of our mental health. Imposter syndrome is very clear and dear to my heart. I've grappled with it during my early years as a doctor. It's improved, but it's still there. For me to conquer imposter syndrome, I needed to understand it better. I need to understand why I have it. What are actionable, simple tips that I can take and do in my day-to-day life and in my career to stop letting it get a hold of me. Here are the chapters. Instead of taking the weeks to understand it like I did, I'm gonna put it all and condense everything in this video, and I hope that it helps you too and that we can tackle this together. Let's start with a quick definition. So imposter syndrome is a behavioral health phenomenon causing self-doubt of intellect, skills, or accomplishments among high-achieving individuals. When I looked at this definition, I thought it was really interesting because first it highlights that it's a behavior problem. We need to understand what the behavior is, and then it's found in high-achieving individuals. You can be the most competent, the most intelligent, most skillful person, and you can still have this. And then it shows that they have a self-doubt in their minds. So the behavior is linked to self-doubt. People also think of imposter syndrome as feeling like a fraud, feeling like you don't belong. I feel like I am a high-achieving individual. I do have self-doubt. So even when people say, oh, you're a doctor, yay, I kind of brush it off. I'm like, yeah, it wasn't that hard, but it was very hard. I thought it was very hard. Those 6 years of studying and grinding was hard. So I brush off my accomplishments, and even in my job, I second guess myself. I second guess my intelligence, my talents, what I know. And sometimes I feel like, am I worthy to be here with all these amazing, smart, intelligent people? I feel like if I make a mistake, they'll realize I'm not smart enough to be in medicine. I have all these thoughts, and I guess that definition makes sense in a way. So if you are struggling with imposter syndrome, how can you relate your life to that definition? And it's good to understand yourself. So once you understand yourself, then you can work towards dealing with it. Now we're gonna try and dissect imposter syndrome even more and ask some specific questions. So these were the questions that I asked myself. How common is it? For example, research actually shows that 70% of people have experienced feelings of being an imposter at some point in their lives. That makes me feel a bit more, okay, it's not just me, there's nothing wrong with me, and there's nothing wrong with you for having imposter syndrome. It's actually more common than we think. I found that there's even these successful women that I think are great and I look up to, and they also talk about their experience of imposter syndrome. So one of these examples is Michelle Obama, who served as First Lady of America. She's an advocate for education and health, which we love. But even Michelle Obama has imposter syndrome, so she said this: I still have a little imposter syndrome going on. What makes me so special? I'm just flesh and bone. Another example of someone that I think is really cool is Emma Watson. As you know, she is Hermione Granger, one of my favorite characters from Harry Potter. Emma Watson is also a UN Women Goodwill Ambassador. And this is what she said: now when I receive recognition for my acting, I feel incredibly uncomfortable. I tend to turn in on myself. I feel like an imposter. Any moment, someone's going to find out I'm a total fraud and that I don't deserve any of what I've achieved. Even these successful, amazing women a lot of people look up to also have these feelings. So you're not alone. It's just now trying to understand how to prevent it from affecting our life and preventing us from being healthy and happy. So the next question I asked myself is, why do we have it? So when I was researching it, I found out that it's not just one thing that causes imposter syndrome. I learned that it's actually like a puzzle. There's multiple things that come together that could have caused it. So usually it's multifactorial, and we just have to understand what were those factors for you. So most common, you can divide it into internal and external. So internal could be early childhood experiences or personality trait, and then external could be your environment, people that you surround yourself with, your career, workplace environment, societal and cultural pressures. Those things are the external part. There's probably more, but I think those are the most commonly talked about in the space of imposter syndrome. So I have a few examples for some of the more common ones. Imagine growing up in an environment where everything had to be perfect, where any mistake felt like a catastrophe, or where success was equated with academic achievements. That constant pressure to be flawless can stick with you. So your childhood experience of being praised only for your academic achievements and criticized for mistakes may have left a lasting impact on your behavior and self-esteem. That's another action point. What was your childhood like? Do you think that anything in your childhood could have caused your imposter syndrome? It can be personality traits like perfectionism. Perfectionism really links with imposter syndrome. People can say it's a good thing, but most of the time it is maladaptive. And I actually researched perfectionism too. I'm gonna have a video next week on that, so stay tuned for that. Let's say you work in a place where success is measured by promotions and salary bumps. If you're in a minority group, like being a woman in a male-dominant industry, you compare yourself with colleagues colleagues. And with being in the minority group, there is the added pressure to prove yourself and work harder to achieve goals. So sometimes it will make you feel like you work harder or overcompensate compared to the rest of your colleagues in your field, which can cause feelings of imposter syndrome. There's this culture in healthcare or in a hospital that can grow feelings of imposter syndrome. Picture the hospital. It's a very high pressure environment. Stakes couldn't be any higher as well, because if we make a mistake or if we do something wrong, it can affect someone's life. Sometimes there's this expectation of doctors to get every single thing right. If they make one mistake, they're a bad doctor. This expectation can come from patients, it can come from seniors, and especially as a junior doctor and you've just started out, it's intense pressure. Some people were more understanding, but there were some seniors or some patients that weren't, and it takes a toll on yourself and your self-worth. So that is an example of like the workplace environment, the culture. And next thing, I wanted to know what happens if I continue my imposter syndrome. Can I still be okay? I learned that no. And there are negative effects of imposter syndrome. So it can lead to not asking for help, turning down new opportunities that could be very beneficial for you. It could lead to avoiding feedback or criticism, so not growing. And if it continues, it can lead to anxiety, depression, and burnout. I think that's what made me want to learn about imposter syndrome so much. I was engaging with these thoughts a lot, especially my first year as a doctor, and I realized that I was having this anxiety that I never had before. I was having burnout. There was a lot of different things that led to my high-functioning anxiety, but I knew that imposter syndrome was one of the things I had to tackle. So before you get into that stage, or if you're already in that stage, let's talk about things to tackle it. We're not here to dwell on the negatives, we're here to find solutions and fix it. The next part is trying to understand the behavior. So there is a behavioral cycle of imposter syndrome. We can stop it at certain points to prevent it from going round and round and round in loops. There's 5 things or sections in this cycle. Section 1, you get a new project or a new task that we've never done before, or we have some doubt over our skills or intelligence on. There's a big department meeting in front of maybe like 50 people, and you have to present studies or your research or something like that. Second stage is you get anxious, of course. You worry, you don't know whether you'd be good enough. It's something new, you've never done it before. They can either over-prepare or they can procrastinate. I actually would tend to over-prepare. For like balanced people, they probably like, oh, this will take me 2 days to do. People who over-prepare take like 4 days. They spend so long on it. They already have the cycle of imposter syndrome, so they have self-doubt. They think that people will find out if they don't do a good job, that they're not good enough to be in this department. So they over-prepare. The other side of it, there's people who get so scared, they're so worried, a bit busy, and you kind of keep putting it off, You do it 5 hours to 6 hours before the presentation. The next stage of the circle is the project is completed. So you present by either doing one of those things and you feel a sense of accomplishment, it's done, a quick sigh of relief, oh, I've done it, wasn't too bad, it was okay. People with imposter syndrome, they only have this brief sigh of relief or brief feeling of accomplishment. You move on to the 4th segment. And in this part, people do a bit of rationalizing. They do the presentation, people come up to them saying, oh, that was really good, or wow, well done, like I've learned so much, that was a really good presentation, I enjoyed it. And these people rationalize that achievement. So they say, oh, I was just lucky, or oh, that was a fluke. That doctor over there who's in my level, he's a better communicator, he would have done a better job than me. Like you'll over-rationalize when people compliment you or when you think you did a good job. Yeah, those feelings of like achievement comes down because you're pushing down your achievements. The next section of the cycle is section 5, which is the increasing self-doubt and anxiety, and it goes around again and again. Every time you complete a cycle, there's that increased anxiety, self-doubt, self-doubt, self-doubt. What we're trying to do, or what I'm going to try to do, is I'm going to try and reduce the amount of times I have this circle cycle. So now I thought about what are the actionable steps that we can do. It's good to have this knowledge, but knowledge should have application and we need to take action. So action 1 is to make a list of achievements. It's really nice to have a list of achievements and skills to help with that anxiety that you get when you receive this new surprise or challenge. So you want motivation, you look at quotes, or if you want motivation, you go to a motivational speaker, or you talk to a friend to hype yourself up. This list is a way for you to hype yourself up, gives you evidence as well. So for example, as a doctor, when I'm having these negative thoughts, like should I be here? Like am I worthy? Like these people are so smart and intelligent, like do I belong here? It's a good thing to know who you are. For me, I've put down, you've graduated med school, you worked so hard for 6 years, you revised really well, you passed all your exams, you did an intercalated degree, you won a prize in that intercalated degree, you try your very best, you got a letter of recommendation from like Oxford University for teaching medical students. Like there is a lot of things that I should put in that list. Like you have your own. And it actually took me so long to think of all these because it's so difficult for me to like hype myself up sometimes. Sit down and write down all achievements, even like the small ones. So like my consultant said that I was really nice to work with, or I had a patient who said I had a lovely manner. These little things that matter to you, write it down as your achievements to look at. So that's one action I recommend. The next action is be more aware and question your negative thoughts. Some questions or things that I think about is it real? Think about the context and think about comparison. So those three things: realistic, context, comparison. For example, if I start a new job, I start in a new department, everything is new to me, I'm meeting new people for the first time, I'm doing tasks for the first time, there's this negative thought that comes up: oh, I'm stupid, I'm not good enough. First of all, is it real? That's not true. I am not stupid. First of all, because I have my achievement list and I know I'm not stupid. I have so many accolades and achievements. What's the context? Like, this is your first time, so it's normal to not know everything. You shouldn't compare with other people who are doing great and wonderful, amazing things because they've been working in this job for multiple years already. And this is your first day, so comparison, the context, you're not stupid, and then change your mindset to growing. I will talk about mindset a bit more later. If you don't question it, you'll just keep thinking, I'm stupid, I'm stupid, I'm stupid, and the whole time you're feeling anxious, you have self-doubt and you're negative. When you question it that way, you kind of have a bit more perspective. I'm not as experienced, I may not be as smart as the others or as talented, but I am still intelligent, and I'm gonna keep going and growing and stop comparing myself with others because people have been here for so long. Like 2 minutes, it doesn't even take that long, where you kind of question it and calm yourself down and break the cycle. Also, to add to being aware of it, I think it's good to have it listed somewhere so that you know what your most common negative thoughts are. Sometimes you can work through it, and then once these things pop in your head, at least you're like, I have it in my phone, this negative thought. What did I tell myself then? And what can I tell myself now? That's something that I've started doing. I've never done that before. And I think it does really help. And also accepting our success. It can be accepting our success by looking at our achievements, and also when people compliment us, accept it. Sometimes it's a habit. When people say, oh, you did such a good job, I'm like, oh no, it was okay. Instead, be like, oh, thank you for appreciating my work. Thank you, I do work hard and I read a lot. I still sometimes brush off my accomplishments and my skills, but recently I've tried to pick it up more and say, actually, no, thank you. And yeah, I agree. I am skilled, I am smart. The fourth action is practice self-compassion. I know people always say this, and I know it can be cheesy and stuff, but I'm trying to not care about cheesy because I think this is important. I think we need to talk about it more commonly and not think it's cringe, especially in healthcare and especially in high achieving people who are very self-critical. It's a nice reminder to know to be compassionate to you and others. So I have been a bit more compassionate to myself, and I want you to be compassionate to you too, because people can say so many things to you. Only you have the power to believe those things. So your partner, your friend, your family member, your loved one, me, I can tell you all these things. I know you're smart, I know you're kind, I know you're great, I know you're trying your best. I know that you are definitely destined to be where you are at this moment with everything that you've learned so far in your life. You are wonderful, and I can keep going and I can keep going and I can say these things, or your friends, family can say these things, but it doesn't matter, because what matters is what you think of yourself. I'm really thankful that I do have a lot of people who support and love me, but even when I did have that, I was still so insecure. What changed is when I realized I need to actually accept and believe that myself. I've researched and read a lot, and I try to practice this, but I'm human, and sometimes when there's added stress or something else happening in my life, I go back to my old ways. So it's just acknowledging when you're going back to your negative ways, and be that friend or that person that you wish you have at that moment to yourself. And I think that's the main thing that I've been doing that I think is helping me. As promised, we have some mindset shifts. So instead of this is probably wrong, shift that thought instead to, if this is wrong, I can try again. Someone else should do this, and this person should do it, they'll do it better. Instead, say, I am qualified to do this, I can do this, I'm going to learn from doing this. I got this far by accident, I was lucky. Instead, say, I am here because I deserve to be. Lastly, I'm a fraud. Instead of saying I'm an imposter, I'm fake, let's change from being an imposter, feeling like we're an imposter, to I'm genuine, I'm human, this is me, and I deserve to be here. As I said, imposter syndrome is very common, and if you have it, it's very, very likely that people around you in your career, in your environment have it. Now that you have this knowledge, I think it's really great to share it. You can share this video and that will help me, or you can just share what you've learned to others. If you like this video and you want to support me to make time and create videos like this, please give this video a like, comment, subscribe, keep sharing. Thank you for spending your precious time with me learning about your health and happiness, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!